last week, I went to visit my family in Northern California, visited my mom. And many of you know my mom has Alzheimer's. And many of you know her husband, my dad, passed away a little over a year ago. So my mom is on her grief journey. Our family is on our grief journey. And she said to me last week as we were driving in the car, I've been thinking a lot about, post-life. And right away I said, can I quote you on that? And she said, sure, yes. We talk a fair amount about this concept of post-life, about what happens after we die. My mom has always been interested in this question, but now she's interested in a new way, and she figures, I'm a rabbi, I've got some answers. Well, the Jewish tradition has a number of varied things to say about the afterlife, but the one consistent thing is, it's this world, the world that we're in right now, that's most important. It's this world we know about, it's this world we should focus on. When we're in this world, we have the opportunity to do mitzvot. And we don't have that opportunity once we're no longer alive. We know our time is limited, and we want to make the most of it. But when we get into the variety of opinions that are expressed about the afterlife, that's when things really start to get interesting. And I'm sharing some great information here from Jewish Virtual Library. There is mention of afterlife in the Torah, but it's not so clear. In chapter 5 of the book of Genesis, it speaks about Hanoch, or Enoch. It says he walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. In the book of Numbers, chapter 16, it speaks about Korach's rebellion. We spoke about this a few days ago on Shabbat, and the people who rebelled against God were swallowed alive into Sheol when the earth opened up. So there's information, there's a concept of there's something that God's taking us somewhere and the earth can open up and swallow people in, but it's not so clear. So when we get into the prophetic books, we get a little bit more information. In the second book of Kings, we have the story of Elijah being carried heavenward on a chariot of fire. And in the first book of Samuel, we have, in chapter 28, we have a very interesting story. So Saul, who was banned the practice of contacting the dead, he finds a woman who can contact the dead because he wants to speak with Samuel. And this story, in addition to making the point that apparently it is possible to speak with those who are no longer alive, also makes some interesting statements about leadership and following the rules. Now, picking up on this, let's move to what we find in the Talmud. In Talmud Masechet Shabbat, there are some definitive statements about the afterlife that are, of course, not accepted by all, but here they are. When a person dies, their soul separates from their body, but for the first 12 months, the soul still has a relationship with the body. There's still a connection somehow. And so the Talmud says the reason why Saul was able to speak with Samuel is that Samuel had died recently, so this relationship was still intact. Contact was still possible. And for us, this is the source of our custom to say Kaddish for the first year, to help our loved one with this piece of their transition. And there are variations of this custom to say Kaddish for 11 months or 11 months minus 1 day, but this is the origin. Now, after 12 months, the righteous go to paradise, according to this opinion in the Talmud Masechet Shabbat. The righteous go to paradise, Gan Eden, and the wicked to a different place that is not paradise, Gehenna or Gehinom. But about Gehinom, it's also said in a variety of Talmudic sources, there will be no Gehinom in future times. So, still unclear. Now, what exactly happens to the soul? A variety of opinions are expressed. The same place Masechet Shabbat says, page 152, says the soul is quiet after the body has died. The soul rests under the throne of glory. Now, other opinions expressed in Masechet Brachot say that the soul can interact with the world. There's actually a whole story there in Masechet Brachot, page 18b, of a man who goes to a cemetery. He discovers that he can hear the spirits of the dead conversing, and he hears some interesting stuff. He gains some insight that helps him plant a successful crop, and also some gossip that ends up getting him in trouble with his wife. So the next time he goes back to the cemetery, he hears the spirits say, we've got to be more careful about what we talk about, because what we've said amongst ourselves can be heard among the living. So we have a couple of stories so far that tell us it's possible to have some sort of limited connection with those who are no longer alive. But it isn't necessarily advisable to seek out this connection with a specific aim in mind. From these and many more stories in the Talmud, there emerges this rabbinic concept of Olam Haba, the world to come, the next world. We read in Pirkei Avot, chapter 4, verse 16, Rabbi Yaakov teaches this world is like a lobby, and the world to come, Olam Haba, is like a banquet hall. Prepare yourself in the lobby so you are ready to enter the banquet hall. Olam Haba is a place where the righteous are rewarded, and Olam Haba is a place of fairness. We all know this world is not always fair, and the rabbis took comfort in this idea that in the next world, God will grant reward to all those who live righteous lives in this world. So we can speculate, we can wonder about post-life, about what happens to us and to our loved ones after we die, and Jewish tradition will speculate right along with us. I've just given us a small taste of the stories and the thoughts that are out there to explore. But today, as I get ready to say Yizkor this year, on our holiday of Shavuot, I'm struck by these stories that say we can still communicate with those who are no longer alive, and by the gentle way that they instruct us to let go and to accept that there is a separation between being alive and being in post-life. And I'm struck by this image of souls resting under the throne of glory, by the idea that after being in this world, where there is so much for us to do, there is a moment in the next world where there's quiet and rest and protection. As we're about to begin our Yizkor service today, may we all embrace our complicated feelings and our love. May we gently let go of the past. May we embrace the present in all its fullness, and may we remember that in Jewish tradition, it is what we do in this world that is the most important. As we remember our loved ones, may we make a commitment to give tzedakah and do mitzvot in their honor. May their memories inspire us to take action, and may our action be a blessing. We continue now with Yizkor, page 330, for which we rise.